Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So this is going to be my Flash episode 6 video. We got an official name for the Flash. Turns out he wasn't a huge fan of the red streak, which I think is kind of funny. Met a new metahuman, and we've got details for the last couple of episodes for the first half of the season. The producers made some comments about the second half of the season in terms of new Arrow crossovers, so I'll mention that at the end of the video. And I have some updates on Katie Cassidy as Black Canary. Careful for spoilers from the episode if you're not caught up, but starting with top 5 moments. Number 5, Barry and Iris. It's not so much Barry and Iris as it is Iris in the Flash. They totally have a Superman Lois Lane thing going on, probably not going to go quite as well as it did in the Superman comics. One of the things I really like about the Flash is that, yes, it's retreading a lot of familiar comic book ground, but it's trying to do it in a new and interesting way. Changing characters' names, changing relationships up. That's the biggest challenge that it has. Not going too far from the comics, but not doing it in a way that everyone totally understands up front. Pay close attention to the love triangle that's developing between Eddie, Iris, and Barry right now, though, or the Flash. The Flash is kind of like a second character in Iris's mind. The Eddie character is coming into frame slowly more and more, and as he develops a relationship with Barry, it's going to get really interesting between the three of them. Number 4, Barry and Eddie team up. It's like they're Flash bros in this episode. Eddie is a totally nice guy for all we know. He's very mysterious just because the story hasn't focused on him a lot. And we've mostly seen him through the veil of his relationship with Iris. But now he and Barry have some common ground. They were both bullied as children. Eddie seems like he's conquered his demons a little bit more than Barry has. Like he's not dealing with quite as many issues. So I would call him like the big brother in this situation, in this relationship. I fully expect them to get some more scenes like this before the mid-season finale, before episode 9. Eddie's quote became really important thematically to the episode. I mean, it kind of synced up with the supersonic punch. The idea of letting your opponent wear himself out. In the past, the Flash has defeated the Reverse Flash, or Professor Zoom, whichever version of the Reverse Flash he was fighting, just by dodging punches. It's like his fight with Girder. Like he just keeps taking swings at him and Barry just keeps dodging, saving energy. Fighting smarter, not fighting stronger. That's going to be really important when the man in the yellow suit shows up, which is actually the title of episode 9. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Flash Bros also gave us our first visit to Keystone City. It's a big place in the comic books, and it's going to be a big place on the show eventually. It's mostly known as the home of the Wally West Flash. Greg Berlanti and the producers confirmed they would do him at some point. Favorite part of the Barry-Eddie scenes were them talking about bullies, like bonding over bullies. Bullies are really important because the Reverse Flash is a bully to the Flash. Number 3, Joe versus Harrison Wells. I got so excited when Joe walked into Star Labs and said, "I need help finding Barry's mother's killer." There's that look on Harrison Wells' face. Priceless. Regardless of how he's connected to the Flash, he knows all about that because he can either see through time or he's a time traveler. Regardless, he knows all about it. He knows who really killed her. They did confirm Harrison Wells showed up right after Barry's mother was murdered, so we can add that to the theory board. Tess Morgan was the name of the woman that he mentioned that was his wife. The important thing about that is that she could also be connected to Barry's mother's murder. They were both scientists working on the same type of technology that led to the particle accelerator. The way he explained it made it sound like he had been around for a long time, like he didn't travel back in time right to the time of the murder. So if he is the murderer, there's a much more complicated explanation. He explained that she died in a car accident, which in comic books can sometimes be code for something really sinister happening, like a run-in with a supervillain. So if Harrison Wells is not the Reverse Flash or one of the Reverse Flashes, it's possible that the person that visited Joe at the end of the episode also visited Harrison Wells and killed his wife. It would make sense if Harrison Wells is critical to the development of the Flash. Even if he isn't responsible for the Speed Force, he's the person that's helping Barry figure out his powers. Their whole conversation really raised more questions than it answered. So here's just a quick rundown of the best theories that I've seen about who Harrison Wells is right now. The top 2 are 1, a version of the Reverse Flash, the Professor Zoom Reverse Flash. 2, a version of Barry Allen from the future stuck in the past. And then 3, one of the rogues from the future. We have to add a 4th to that now. He could be a completely new person, not from the comics, who just gets tied up in the creation of the Flash. Number 2, Barry versus Girder. Supersonic punch for the win. I know it was a little confusing when they were fighting, but yes, he was flying through midair, so at some point, he jumped. If you're not familiar with Girder from the comics, his name is Anthony Woodward. The only thing that's different in the comics is that the vat that he got dumped in was full of scrap metal from a Star Labs experiment. So Star Labs is still responsible for his creation. It's just that on the show, it was the particle accelerator explosion. Also in the comics, he didn't grow up with the Flash, like they didn't go to the same school, but he was still a giant douchebag. This episode for The Flash was all about learning to fight villains that are stronger than he is. That's why Girder looked like a big muscle man, like he was too big for Barry to walk up and punch. So as much as it was Barry versus Girder, it was Barry versus physics. The Speed Force allows him to get kind of timey-wimey with the laws of physics. I try not to poke too many holes in that kind of stuff just because it'll make your head spin, but I do like the way the show's explaining things. I feel like it's satisfactory. And my number one moment, of course, the Reverse Flash visits Joe. I know I just spent a sec talking about Harrison Wells. None of that's changed, but he stole all the research that Joe had collected on the man in the yellow suit. That's still what they're calling him on the show, but really he's the Reverse Flash. Once we find out who that actually is, the person in the suit, we'll know which version of the Reverse Flash to call him. It's really just Zoom and Professor Zoom that have worn the yellow suit though. I will go on record as saying I totally do not care who the Reverse Flash ends up being. As long as the explanation is interesting, I think it's going to be amazing. Like I said, the title of episode 9 is called The Man in the Yellow Suit. I have no idea what's going to be happening in that episode. We could see him, they could explain him, Harrison Wells could say something about him. I think it'll just be a tease. If you remember Arrow Season 2, they just teased Slade at the end of episode 9. We didn't see him full on Deathstroke until the second half of the season. Let me know though, what was your favorite moment from the episode? And here's my big question for you guys. Who do you think the man in the yellow suit is now, based on what we saw in this episode? So there were a couple more Easter eggs that they dropped in the episode. First was the man who was on fire, who apparently doesn't burn. That could either be Firestorm, or it could be Heatwave. Both of those are characters that we won't see till the second half of the season. They won't appear in the same episode, like Firestorm and Heatwave aren't going to be in the same episode. Then there was Harrison Wells' shout out to a man made of steel, a man of steel, as in Superman. If he knows the future, he knows all about the Justice League and Clark Kent. I know there's a big question about whether or not he's alive in this continuity. Yes, Superman exists in the television universe, we just haven't seen him yet. Then Iris gives Barry his official name, The Flash, which will go down in history as a pretty big deal. I'm including this in my Easter eggs just because in the episode, it didn't feel like as big of a payoff. Like it was kind of given offhandedly like, hey, why don't we do The Flash? Maybe that'll work. And here when they went to Keystone City, you can see the sign that says Garrick's Wharf, as in Jay Garrick, the original Golden Age Flash. Overall, I gave the episode an A- just for the way it paired characters off. Like, I love the Barry-Eddie pairing. I love Joe and Dr. Wells. I really want to see more of that. Like, really unusual pairings, characters that you don't normally see together. Of all the things that The Flash has done, I mean, they're really gung-ho with the way they do supervillains, superpowers. I feel like they're amazing at developing characters, and that's mostly due to the writers and the actors nailing it. I wasn't a giant fan of the actor that played Girder, but he was playing a douchebag, so that was me mostly hating douchebags, so he did his job very effectively. It was our job to hate him. Just in terms of comic book shows in general, I feel like Arrow and The Flash have the best creative teams. I mean, they have Jeff Johns, creative lead at DC Comics, working on one of the shows directly. It says a lot when the person who informs the creative direction of all of DC Comics is working on your show. That just gives you an idea of the level of importance that they're treating it with. So there's 3 episodes left in the season. Here are some details on what's going on with that. Next week's episode features Farouk, aka Blackout, and Talkman. He's the Clock King from Arrow. You can consider it like a subtle Prison Break episode too, although none of the other rogues are in it. The week after that will be the big crossover with Arrow. Remember, that's 2 parts. Part 1 will be on The Flash, that's called Flash vs. Arrow. Part 2 will be on Arrow, and that'll be called The Brave and the Bold. And then the mid-season finale is called The Man in the Yellow Suit. That'll be the week after that. So there'll be a new Flash episode each week for the next 3 weeks, with no break. As we get closer to the mid-season finale, I'll try to post a couple more bonus videos about special characters, things that are coming up, so feel free to make requests, and be sure to subscribe to get everything. The cast of Arrow was posting some more pictures of Katie Cassidy in her Black Canary costume from episodes they were filming. I think I'll talk about that more during my Arrow video tomorrow, but I think that they're filming episode 11 or 12 by now. The big thing that you guys should really get excited about is the idea of another crossover in the second half of the season between Arrow and The Flash. The producers said they had to wait till after The Flash got picked up for a full season before they could plan it, but they're just starting to right now. Really quick heads up too, YouTube gave me a new beta feature to play with, so if you're watching this on your mobile phone or on a tablet, there's some extra links that you can click on here, links that I talk about. The links that I add over here too will always be the same, but right now you can click here for last week's episode of The Flash, and click here to get ready for Arrow this week. Thank you so much for watching, so let's all high five. I will see you guys tomorrow.